I think we need to start busting these myths about palliative care in Australia because people still don't understand what it is.
Palliative care for many people is synonymous with dying.
There's a lot of fears about palliative care just for the end of life, the last few days of life.
Not just people who need healthcare, but the people who support healthcare, the physicians, clinicians, doctors, nurses, people who work in government, who work in healthcare departments and parliamentarians. I think it's pervasive.
So therefore there's less timely referrals to palliative care and access to good end-of-life care.
But it's also about the consumer, the person living in the community, not being empowered to say, hey, this is what I want. I know I can have this. Can you give it to me?
Pain is one of the easiest symptoms to control from the start of a patient's journey with advanced disease right up till the end. So when I met Con for the very first time, it was because of very, very severe pain. And this really sapped all of his energy. He was not as mobile, he wasn't as robust, and psychologically it affected him as much as physically.
The last few days, maybe 2-3 weeks, was no pain at all. I don't know, maybe the medicine they give me is good enough to cover up that thing. Yeah.
If you walk around a palliative care unit, you will see the number of patients that are well taken care of. There is minimal to no pain. So pain is not an inevitable aspect of that journey.
I was cranky at one stage because I kept asking for help. My oncologist didn't know what to do with me.
Yeah.
My GP wasn't too sure.
Do you think they don't understand palliative care either? Do you think that's a problem?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's a horrible feeling to think there's nobody out there to help you.
Inadvertently, I think a lot of healthcare professionals convey a sense of hopelessness to patients and families, and that there sometimes causes quite a bit of grief and distress directed towards healthcare professionals for not having these sorts of conversations around what palliative care is and what the benefits are.
Well, I said to a girlfriend, I said, what am I going to do? I said, am I going to die? Or who's going to help? I just felt, you know, when you shook my hand and you sat down and started to talk, and I thought, no, this is where I need to be finally.
And hopefully this will have huge impact for the rest of your life, basically.
Oh, I agree. Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
And I've got all the faith now in the world, so I know I've got the right team with me, and yeah, so I'm not actually worried about it now.
And I think it's a very pleasant surprise for patients and families that it actually opens up an opportunity that they never really understood.
I feel positive. I feel more positive. Probably the best I've felt since I've been sick.
I think the community often thinks that coming to palliative care means that you're in that last leg, that you only have days or hours left. And that's another one of the myths that we really need to understand is not the case.
Hello, Giuseppe.
What is amazing with Giuseppe is often he becomes unwell at home, loses his mobility, and then needs to come into hospital.
Giuseppe, have you been doing any activities while you've been
Oh,
here?
yeah.
What have you been doing here?
Oh, I am a master, the martial art.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when I feel good, I still practice. I am 83
Yes.
and I fight against young people.
This has been really good for him because by coming in and almost having a tune-up, you know, symptom control, getting his mobility improved, making sure he's safe, we can get him back home to be with his family, and that's where he wants to be.
Oh, absolute myth. It's a myth that it leads to death, but it gives you more comfort through the process of the end of life. Yeah. And I'm here really for, shall we say, to be rebuilt a bit, to give me a bit more time.
Palliative care hastening death. Again, this is another myth. In fact, the evidence is quite clear that palliative care can actually extend and prolong life as well as give a better quality of life.
And that came as a shock to my daughter several months ago that I've really been on palliative care for several years.
So it's quite an interesting dilemma that we face, that as an intervention, palliative care actually extends life for many people, even though that's a difficult concept for people to understand. You don't have cancer, do you?
No.
What's yours?
I had 2 heart attacks and a stroke.
Yeah.
Well, I had this infection in the lungs, which I always get.
Yeah.
But this time they didn't think I was coming out of it. So,
Yeah.
but after having that scare and being in ICU, I thought, palliative care, is this my last legs or not?
Yeah.
But it wasn't.
No. Yeah.
So as I said, I did not know what the word meant.
The myth comes out of the fact that the modern palliative care movement was related very much to really looking after patients who are dying from cancer. So you can see why the myth has evolved. Inevitably, anyone's eligible for palliative care or considerations around palliative care.
It was hard coming into somewhere here like this, whereas I had the wrong idea of what palliative meant. I thought I was going to go. I thought I was going to die.
People are quite demoralised after a very significant event in an acute hospital, and they're really unsure where things are going to go, but there seems a great reluctance for healthcare professionals to talk about the fact that there could be time ahead and how to best support that.
I'll tell you what, I've felt really happy here, and it's done a lot as a month, so it's done a lot for me.
Palliative care adds a huge advantage to the illness experience for a patient, the illness experience for a carer and a family member, and inevitably the ripple effect into the generations beyond the person that has died.
So when Richard came into hospital, he was very, very unwell. But during the time that we helped to improve his symptoms, he actually brightened up. We were able to get him to a point where he was then comfortable about going home.
Yes.
How important is getting home?
Very important, because I'm very much a homebody.
Right. We may let you go today, and then we could continue any further interventions at home.
I hope that my son and I can spend some time luxuriating in doing music together for as long as we've got together.
You can actually access palliative care anywhere. This includes in your own home, in the community, in residential aged care facilities, in a palliative care unit, which we used to call hospices, or in the general wards of a hospital as well.